Clatts! Hi, welcome back to this wonderful channel called The Traveling Clatt. Today I thought I'd take you guys back to a time before this boy had a beard, before he had these glasses, before he had this shirt, before walking the trail, before sailing on a cargo ship, before everything. Last week I came to you guys and I talked to you about what the point of this channel was, and the point of this channel started from this very story. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I should probably preface this by saying that before I even started traveling on this channel, I made some videos prepping for Africa. I made videos like packing for Africa and what to bring with you to Africa and the different shots I had to get before I left Africa. The adventure began on the evening of May 25th, 2014. So it's finally the big day. We're gonna head out to the airport in a little bit. Finally fly to Africa. Please excuse my very awkward vlogging during the duration of this video. So you guys know me if you watch my vlogs enough, I tend to get lost a lot. So my first time in London was no exception. I had a layover for 9 hours and I said, heck with it, I'm gonna go explore the city a little bit. And well, I'll let that tall explain to you what's going on. So I'm in London. I have no idea where I am in London, but I'm gonna try to find like Big Ben, all the tourist stuff. After spending like 3 hours walking around London aimlessly, I managed to find Big Ben, get myself a crumpet or a scone, and head back off to the airport quickly. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the beginning of the adventure. I was so excited to finally get there. It's hilarious because in this opening shot, you could see the nerves on my face when I'm about to fly in this tiny plane. This was hands down the most beautiful flight I'd ever taken. The giant mountains, the huge cliffs, the canyons, the rivers that were flowing in and out. When I landed in Zambia, the only thing waiting for me was a man with a sign saying that I was part of this group. I hopped in his taxi with 2 other girls that were on the trip, and we headed off to our lodge. I think my body just like processed the fact that I'm in Africa. Why am I in Africa? Who knows? Later that night, we had a meeting with the group. We met our drivers, we met our tour guide. This is Justin, our tour guide.
Hello, how are you? I'm Justin. I'm going to be tour leader for 7 days from Livingston to Johannesburg. I'm gonna be with 80 people together with Tall. I hope they're gonna have fun.
I'm gonna go take my first shower in Africa because I haven't showered in like 3 days, and We'll do this video thing tomorrow. The next morning, we were briefed on what time we'd need to be back in the lodge. We were told that we'd be sleeping in tents the entire trip. We formed a mini posse of 4 new friends, Raimundo from Chile, Emily and Beck from Australia, and me from Miami. And we headed off to the Victoria Falls. Some locals from the village around the area took us on a little tour to see a plantation in the background and to meet some of their baboons. These baboons were not very friendly. As well, this was the day that one of the funniest things in my life had ever happened to me. As we were leaving the falls, there was a little village located there. They sold a bunch of handcrafted wooden items and necklaces, beads, and all kinds of African toys and drums. Anyhow, Raimundo and I were walking around barefoot at this point because our shoes had been soaking wet and our socks had been soaking wet. And at this point, I'm being harassed by like 11 men trying to sell me necklaces and beads and stuff, and this is my first experience ever dealing with something like this. And as I walk into this one shop, a man named Timon comes up to me.
Hi my friend, how are you? Yes, you should remember me when
just
you
about
go
the
back home.
necklace.
Yes, I make the necklace and all these other things here on my
And I kid you not, he offers me this really cool necklace that had a little elephant pendant on it for my wet, used socks. Yet to this day, I have no idea why this man wanted my socks, but I went along with the trade. So a few hours pass, and now it's time for me to go do the craziest thing I think I've ever done up until now in my life. When I got back to the lodge, I heard about a deal they were doing to fly people up on a Microlight for 15 minutes. I was on such a sense of adventure and adrenaline that I said, I gotta do this. Matthew, my driver, I'm going to do the Microlight now, the little flight. I get picked up, I go to the field, I see this, and then we're off. I cannot explain the feeling of being in a Microlight. I was flying through the air in a motorcycle with wings. The pilot happened to be this German guy that happened to live in Zambia, and we just talked about existentialism and the animals flying around us, and we'd see hippos and elephants below us. It was incredible, it was amazing, but they wouldn't let me bring my camera up. Later that night we got back, sat by the bar, got to know more of the people, and we ended our second day in Africa. Today we woke up, grabbed our tents, packed them up, and threw them in the truck. We were crossing the border from Zambia to Botswana, so it was a long driving day. It It was so cool as we had to stop the truck, get it on this weird little ferry thing, and sail across this river to get into Botswana. We're taking a ferry now to the border. As we were on the ferry, this man approached me and had this random conversation about rap in the United States, and it was amazing. And we ended our day by packing a cooler filled with beers, heading on to the Chobe River, and taking a sunset cruise safari. Baboons, crocodiles, hippos, they were all there and they were all interacting with each other while we sat back and relaxed. And as day 3 came to a close and we set up in our new camping spot, I had to face my fears by showering with an enormous spider. Waking up the next morning, we did our first ever safari. We head back into Chobe National Park that sits on the Chobe River. We saw animals like baboons and gazelles and zebras and giraffes. And since they woke us up at 5 a.m. to go on safari, I got a little tired on the bus.
This is told impression of an antelope.
Then by the end of the day, we arrived at a beautiful place called Elephant Sands National Park. We set up our tent and got prepared for the most amazing night of our lives. The interesting thing about Elephant Sands is that it sits right on a waterhole. So when night comes, as we're sitting by the campfire eating our food, a massive herd of enormous African elephants comes plunging through into the waterhole. And we all get to sit there in unison, in silence, and just observe and watch these amazing animals interact. By the next day, we were already getting into routine as we'd pack up our tents in the morning and leave to the next location. This day was full of driving as we made it to the Limpopo River in Botswana.
We just made camp near the border of Botswana and South Africa. Limpopo.
We chased around some wild mongoose, cooked food, and got back to sleep. The next day, we'd be crossing into South Africa. As we spent the morning a little bit hungover from the night before, we would drive on these African highways and see giraffes and zebras and elephants on the side of the road, and finally by the end of the day we crossed into South Africa. Sleeping in our camp for the night, we were greeted by a Swahili tribe that came and did a tribal dance with us, and we got to partake in a little bit of the craziness. The next morning, we woke up and did what I've been dreaming about doing my entire life up to that point. We took our first safari through Kruger National Park. Today's goal was to spot Africa's Big Five: the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the buffalo. We only got a glimpse of the lions and the leopards, but the elephants were everywhere.
So we just got to the lodge. And this is the end of the trip.
Yeah. Hey, this looks awesome.
Guys. And this is what the room looks like.
We made it to a little town called Benoni in South Africa, had our final dinner together, and wrapped up to say goodbye.
This is Dominique.
Hello.
And Justin. These are our tour guides. The best tour guides in the world.
Hello.
Coincidentally, Raimundo and I had booked our trip to be the same exact length, so we had 2 days after the trip to go explore and do whatever we wanted. As well, this trip happened to end on my 18th birthday, and as the following morning when I turned 18, we got a chance to visit South Africa's Lion Park. It was almost like to compensate the lack of lions we saw on safari, that took care of baby lion cubs and hyenas, meerkats, elephants, giraffes, zebras, the whole 9 yards, and we got to interact with some of them.
Oh,
Nice.
so cute.
Chilling here. The lions. This is crazy.
Then me and Raimundo decided to harass this giraffe a little bit.
She's gonna just take my camera. Ay, ay, ay.
And just like that, my last day in Africa came. We woke up the next morning, stayed in the lodge all day, lounging around and playing pool.
About half an hour before the taxi comes to pick us up, and that's it. I gotta say bye to this beautiful place. I'm genuinely going to miss everybody that was on the trip, and the trip itself, and the country. It's kind of like I really don't want to go back home. But you know what? There's always time for the next adventure.
I had to part ways with Raimundo here, and I can honestly say he set the bar very high for all the future people I would meet while I'm traveling. So many thoughts were fluttering through my head as I was flying back from South Africa to London, and then from London to Miami. The only thing I could think about is how amazing what I just did was, how I made my own dream come true, and how I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. So we're back. I hope you guys like this style of video. Maybe we can make another one in the future. Make sure that if you're new here, subscribe to the channel because I make videos every single week about fun, brilliant stuff like this. And let me know what you think. I'll see you in my next video, huh? I love you such a long time. Goodbye, Clatts.